Hey guys, in today's video I picked up this mid-2000s Mercury 25 two-stroke. I picked this thing up for only 200 bucks, got a really good deal on it, but it's got a lot of issues. If you guys have been enjoying the videos, please smash the like button down below as it helps me out a lot, guys, and subscribe so you don't miss any further content in the future. Without that being said, we're going to jump right into a compression and spark test, and we're going to see how healthy this power head is. Okay, so the first thing we're going to have to figure out, so you can hear it's clicking right now, so that's the starter noise, it's clicking. So basically the starter's not kicking up, and to be fair, the starter doesn't really look that healthy in general as well, but it could also be the wire underneath, and it's causing it to not allowing the voltage to transfer. But the starter's not locked up or anything like that, so I don't think it's the starter that's causing it. But giving it a little love tap, and eventually, boom, it kicks off. Looks like there was a lot of water on this flywheel. But usually when electric can't get through, you can just tap on the solenoid and it will go. So the top cylinder looks like we got about 90-95 compression, which is pretty dang low for one of these engines. And usually you want to be up right around 110 at least for these motors. So this is actually going to be the bottom cylinder. And same thing, I got just about 90 pounds on this cylinder, which this would make this technically not a very healthy engine. But nonetheless, we're going to still try to get it running. Next thing I'm going to do is do a spark test on it and see if we have a good spark. And as you guys can see here, I got a good solid spark on the power head. So that being said, I'm still going to try to get it to run. I'm going to go in the bore scope camera and just see how bad the cylinders are. So in the top cylinders, this is what it looks like. It doesn't really look that healthy. You usually want to see nice hash marks. Of course, you guys can see all the scoring going on in the cylinder. There's pretty much no hash marks left. So that is mainly the main cause of why the compression's low. Usually when this starts happening, and usually when it gets below 80 pounds, these motors will not run. Usually at 90 pounds, they'll run okay, but still they want to be at right around 110 for them to be a good running engine. With that being said, I'm still going to try to get it running just for the sake of the video. So what we're going to do now is go through the fuel system, go through the carb, and see if we can get this motor running. Now, I've done these carbs multiple times on my channel, so if you just want to hop into my next videos, you can see me going through it. But I'm not going to really talk about it. I'm just going to take it apart and just follow along. I guess if you have any questions down below, just drop a comment. I'm glad to answer it for you. Okay, here under the starter, we're going to have to address this because this could be the issue of why the starting solenoid was clicking and not allowing the voltage to transfer over to the starter. Something you guys want to check also is going to be your reeds. Just make sure none of them are holding open or have any corrosion or anything like that, because this can cause running issues. Now I've got the carb on the bench. What we're going to do is break it down and rebuild it. I'm not going to really jump too much about me talking just because I built them in the past. So if you have any questions, just drop it down in the comments below. Now, something you guys want to do is check your actual jets. So this jet is actually located in the bottom of the carb. It actually goes inside of here just like this. And you can see it is completely clogged up. And actually, if you look inside here, you can't see it at all. And then when I clean it out, you can actually see. So this would not allow any gas to come through, causing a lot of running issues. Now the carb is all clean. What we're going to do is rebuild it. Just got it out the ultrasonic cleaner. It turned out looking really good. And what we're going to do is just rebuild it with a fresh kit. And I'll have it down in the description of the part number for the kit, so you guys know which one to use in order to rebuild these carburetors. And usually the kits are going to be the same for the 99, 15s, 8 horsepower, so they're all pretty much the same. Now this is very crucial you guys do this correctly. So this is your idle mixture screw. So what we're going to do is thread it in very slowly until you feel it lightly seat, and then you're going to spin it out roughly around 1.5 turns, and you're going to start from there. Once the engine's running, you'll start adjusting. And this is the complete carb that I just rebuilt, turned out looking really good, and it will actually function, unlike the last time when it was all packed up with all that junk. And something else to keep in mind, guys, so they'll give you 2 gaskets in the kit that I will have in the description below. This one's going to be used for the 99s and 15s, even the 6 and 8 horses, I think, use the same one. And this is the one you're going to actually want to use. This is going to be for like the 20 and the 25 Mercuries. So when you go put your carburetor on, you just need to make sure you don't use this one and use this one, because your engine will run poorly. Now, since the carb is off and I do see these issues with all this wiring here, what I'm going to do is just pull this off, clean it all up, The starter isn't locked up because I'm able to actually spin it the other direction, and we saw it working previously when I was doing the compression test. But I'm just going to replace this wire, clean up all the terminals, and clean up this because it's pretty bad looking. So now I got the starter off. What I can show you guys what I mean is that when you spin the starter, if it was locked up, it would not be able to go the opposite direction. So we know the starter is not locked up, but located underneath here where the wire was connected to, this is pretty rusted up and pretty corroded. And here I just made a new wire for the starter. So pretty much just because the old one is all pretty crappy. It's got really hard bends and it's got some crunchy noises. So it's a good thing just to replace it. And the same thing, I also just cleaned up all the terminals for the starting solenoid just to see if that helps it out better. You're also going to want to remove the fuel filter located up here on this housing and just get it all cleaned out. Now, these are reusable, but if your filter is ruptured or it's really bad, you can obviously just buy the inner filter and replace it. But you also want to clean out the bowl just so there's no gunk in it. Now, what we're going to do is install the carb and use the proper gasket, which is going to be this one, and get it installed. Now, before you install your air box back on your carburetor, what you want to do is just make sure your carb is actually opening all the way. So when I pull the tiller all the way to the closed position, the carb completely shuts down. And when you come to full maximum throttle, you'll see that butterfly is completely horizontal. You don't want your carb to be facing like this or like this. You want it exactly horizontal, or else you will have running issues at higher RPMs. Now, I was about to run the engine and forgot to put new spark plugs in it, so that's all I'm doing right here. So you just want to put 2 new spark plugs in there and get some fresh spark, that way so the engine can have some proper combustion. Now, I still need to add a hose for the actual telltale, but I'm just going to run the engine and see if it even pumps first, and then I'll get to that. And then these are just the spark plugs. Well, I'll have them down in the description for you guys then. All I did there was adjust the idle mixer screw, and it was at 1.5, so I maybe went to about 1 3/4 turns. So she's pumping a little bit, but not a lot. So we might have to be doing a water pump on this, which I was going to do regardless. But you can see it here, it's getting up on the cowling. So I'm actually just going to put the hose back on here, just see if it actually starts pumping better. But it doesn't feel like it's overheating at all at the moment. So we'll see what happens. So after running engine for a little bit, you guys see here with my thermal gun, this engine was overheating. Usually these cylinders would be like around 120, 130 maybe, but it's only at 160. But the thermostat's actually reading pretty low. So you might have an issue with the thermostat and not allowing the water to actually come out, because you can see that even the exhaust plate is at right around 170, which is pretty hot for these engines. So if I ran this a little longer, I probably could have blew it up. So just kind of keep that in mind, guys, when you're running these. Just make sure they don't overheat. But we're definitely going to do a water pump on this, and I'll probably honestly do a thermostat as well, just to make sure that's not clogged up. Okay, so we're going to do a water pump change on this. So in order to do these, you have to remove the starter again. But basically, there's this little clip, pin, whatever you want to call it. See if I can do it with one hand. Basically, you just want to flip up the latch. Usually helps if you have a little flat blade. And then what you want to do is pretty much just push behind it, and the pin will pop right out. Now, the shift linkage is in between that two plastic pieces, and this pin is actually what holds it. And then all you have to do is remove these two bolts down here, technically four because there's two on the other side, and the lower unit will drop. So I'm just going to drop it down for you guys. I'm sure it's not really that hard. Just pull these four bolts out, and the lower unit will drop, and we'll change out the water pump from there, and we'll also do the thermostat. Okay, so now we got the lower unit off. What we're going to do is a water pump change and also do the thermostat. So I was able to get the thermostat housing off. I did this off camera, just because when I pulled it off, each bolt broke off instantly. I mean, there was so much corrosion, and you see it all powder up here. I didn't even have a chance to get it out. So this is actually probably his main running issue, was because this thermostat is completely clogged up, and I'll actually demonstrate that for you guys in a second. So I'm going to just torch up the end, and technically, I mean, you don't really actually need a lot of heat. What's supposed to happen is it should start opening, but you can see on this one, it's staying completely closed. Now, this is what a new one looks like, so I'm just going to demonstrate the exact same thing. And you can see here, there's the springs, and the top of it is actually covered with that little bit of metal. And you can see this one, it actually blew right through it. So the same thing, I only had to torch it a little bit. You can see that spring is already retracting. And basically, once that spring retracts back, you can see right through it. And now the thermostat will allow the water to actually come through. The old one wasn't allowing at all because of all the corrosion, and it's just a bad, faulty thermostat. Wasn't doing what its purpose was to do. So I'm going to draw the old bolts and re-tap it and then get the thermostat in. But before that, I'm just going to throw the lower unit back in and get it all installed and just make sure it's all good to go. So we got the engine back in the tank and we fired it up and it's pumping perfectly now. And then even when I check the temperature on the side of the cylinders, right around 115 to 120. And same thing for the bottoms. Actually, bottom cylinder's a little bit cooler. And then the thermostat's reading a pretty good temp. So this is what you want to see once you do all this work. Obviously, the water pump helped a lot, but that thermostat was the main reason why this engine was overheating, in my opinion. So we're just going to let this engine run for a little bit and just see how it goes. And if anything happens, I'll let you guys know. And then we'll probably take it over to the lake and test run it. So the motor's been running great, but there's something I want to point out to you guys in case you guys had this on your engine. So this engine actually has a rectifier, so that should charge up your battery basically while the engine's running. So while I'm reading this, at idle, it's at 12.3. When I rev up the engine, you should see that voltage come up to 12.6, 12.7, and higher as the RPMs go up. This will charge up your batteries and make sure your rectifier is actually working. Okay, guys, so that's going to be the end of the video. I got this engine to run really well in the tank, and I'm sure it's going to run fine on the lake. Maybe I'll make a YouTube short in the future or something like that. I'll be running this. I just don't have time to go run it on the lake. I want to get this video out for you guys. So if you guys have been enjoying the video, please smash the like button down below, as it helps me a lot, guys. And please subscribe so you don't miss any further content in the future. With all that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.